Good day once again, fellow Africans. As you have already known about our movement called the People's Movement for African Unity, which are intending to unite Africa and make it transform Africa into a great continent. We want to take this opportunity today to speak a little bit of African history, the way it has been fakely presented. Although our movement is not yet to analyze history so much, but it's not possible that someone will work presently or anticipate the future without touching some aspect of history. Because in everything we do, we have to respect the tripartite alliance of time, the past, the present, and the future. Because what we see presently is a product of the past. And what we do today will reflect what happens in the future. So there is nothing better touching history a little bit. A lot of writings and analysis has been going on in the academic world and in the social media about Africans past, that we are people who know nothing, who had no science, who was not this, who was not that, we knew nothing, we had no writing, we had all sorts of, we are the most backward people, all sorts of things that the detractors are talking about Africa. And some weak mind among our people are also accepting that to be a fact of our history, that black people do not know anything, simple because they have come today and see that the Toyota company is not owned by an African, or the Yokohama or the Boeing flight, it was not built in Africa today, and that the Samsung electronics were not African name or African brand. That is why they accept that Africans are good for nothing people. But they forget that everything is going in evolutionary steps. We had a lot in Africa here. But one thing we should acknowledge despite all these things is that Africans never go to Europe or America to ask for help. If a white man, if an European can come and tell you that there is a certain African tribe who are going to Europe there to ask them food, let him come and prove it in history. That they were the Europeans who were giving Africans food. Before they came here, we had agriculture. We had meteorological sciences. We had everything here. I give you one example from my language. I'm an Igbo man from southeastern Nigeria. We have what is called Ogunnoya. Ogunnoya is a medicine. It's a concept of a medicine. Ogu is a killer, means killer. Nnoya means multiple diseases. So the medical concept of Ogunnoya is a concept that is trying to produce a medicine that could kill multiple diseases in the body or even in animals. Now, if a people did not have medical science in the first place, how could they come up with an advancing concept of trying to produce a medicine, a single medicine that is capable of killing many diseases? And that's what we have today in the European language as the antibiotics. That's what Ogunnoya is. We have it here in Africa before the coming of white men. And it's not just within the Igbo people. The Yoruba people of southwestern Nigeria also have what is called Bobonishe. Bobonishe means all round, something that can do a lot of things, all round killer of a particular. It's a medicine also. It still exists today in Nigeria, because even if it has not been advanced, but it still exists. It's something with what the Igbos call Ogunnoya. And that's what antibiotics means, if you don't know. Unfortunately, our history has not been harmonized and taught to our people so they can understand what African history means. There is no nation or ethnic group that is complete in everything. Even in the European world, there are some knowledge that make up the European knowledge today that came from Portugal, which England do not have. There are some things England have that the Greeks do not have. There are some things you get in the Greek that are not in Italy or in Denmark. So no nation is complete in knowledge. So if you come here and find out that, for example, you are a Zulu person from South Africa, and there are some knowledge that is lacking in the Zulu nation, you cannot localize African history to be Zulu history. The fact that the Zulus don't have it, if you look around Africa like the Luo people of Kenya or anybody, they may have it there. Or some ethnic groups in what we know today as Guinea or Senegal or Nigeria or Burkina Faso, they may have it there. So the fact that you don't have it here within the Zulu nation does not mean that Africa don't have it at all. And if you don't have it in your own area in Ethiopia, any of the Ethiopia ethnic group, you don't have it like that, that does not mean that somewhere in Africa you cannot find it. First of all, we have been engaging in agricultural activities here in Africa. And there is no way you can till the soil without using a hoe or a knife to cut down trees or cut down grasses or do other things. And a knife or a hoe is not something you manufacture with a scent. It's metal. A knife, a machete is made of metal. Now, if Africans did not have meteorological sciences, how could they have that very machete to cut down the trees and be able to go for agriculture? Because when agriculture is the earliest profession in human history, and we have been carrying that out. You cannot tell me that agriculture started with 300 years when the Europeans came to Africa. No. Agriculture had been the oldest profession, because the first thing a human being needs to do to survive is food. So the art, the science of reproducing food, which is agriculture, has been there. And you can't till the soil with empty-handed. No, something has to be used. What was that you used in Africa? It was a hoe to cultivate, a machete, and a knife to slit the yam or anything to sow in the soil. But today we are meant to know that we don't. And if Europeans did not come to destroy our meteorological science, by now we could have been building flights, or even more than that. So if you come and see that Africans do not have aeroplane today or a car that is a product of meteorological sciences, don't come and say it's caused by Europeans, not that Africans don't have the acuity. Europeans created that problem in our life. The Europeans also were made to know that when they came to Africa, they were going at the coast of the sea. They say that Africans they come to trade in gold and ivory. Now, if Africans do not know the value of gold in the first place, the usefulness of gold in the first place, how could they pick it and know it is for sale to somebody in the coast of the sea? How could you know that this is a precious metal that can be sold, that is valuable, if you don't have the knowledge of what that metal is? We all know that gold is an underground resource. It's not something you pluck from a tree. You don't pluck it from a tree. It's not a fruit you just go and pluck. It's underground resources. You have to dig the ground to find the gold. Now, if we Africans did not have genealogical sciences, how could they know which area of the earth is appropriate to dig gold, to find gold out and dig it out for sale? Europeans came with gun and destroyed those civilizations, and now come and portray Africans as a people who know nothing. They even go as far as saying that colonization brought a lot of glory to Africa in the course of the world. But let's call the Europeans, let them come, let's reach an agreement to say, let us colonize you in the same manner that you colonize other people of the world, and see if those Europeans will agree. Call any white man and let him sign the agreement that what he did with colonization should be returned back to him. Even if we don't do it on human level, let the Europeans kneel down and pray to God so that what they did to the world through colonization should be returned back to them. If colonization was such a beautiful thing, you come and tell me about colonization because for electricity, and you forget that bulb, electricity bulb had been in Egypt for more than 3,000 years ago. They hijack the history and make it their own history. And you forget that what makes they call so-called a Greek philosophy that spread to all the European world came from Egypt. It was a philosophy that was taken from the pyramid through initiations into the mysteries and knowledge of the ancient Egypt, which are pioneered by the black people. And today you believe that Africans are good for nothing people just because circumstances in history did some things best known to those who control the world. Them alone, the spiritual world, I believe in them. They knows how to guide human evolution. Whatever comes in our history, we should accept it with good faith. But what is not acceptable is that Africans are good for nothing people. We are the people who discovered science. God invented it, we discovered it. What we have today is scientific advancement, and it can be done by anybody. Even up to today, most of the things you see in the United States of America were invented by black people. Then white people take it over in their companies and give it their own name. So, do not join those people who think that Africans are good for nothing men. And if you see yourself being an idiot with unproductive mentality, don't think that every African is like you. We have the quality. We have what it takes to build a continent. We have everything. We don't need to borrow from anyone. Of course, we know that certain level of advancement have eroded Africa, but we will all get it back. We will get it back. The world is not ending today. It didn't start today, and it's not going to end today. The world didn't start the day you are born, and it's not going to end when you die. The world continues. So please don't sit down and think about. I don't want to give a lot of analysis about Africa or what. No. There's no need doing that because we know. Even the Europeans know, even though they choose to twist it and give it different name to discredit people, they know the truth about Africa. Nobody knows African history. No, they know it. So don't sit here and join those who say Africans are good for nothing people. This must happen, this must be this, or those who think that we cannot survive with Europe. No, the Europeans didn't create the world. They don't hold monopoly to the survival of human life. Nobody holds monopoly to the survival of food. The day life was created on earth is the day the creator decreed that human being will live on earth. And when God was creating the world, he didn't take permission from anyone. And he cannot be stupid to allow a situation that will destroy his world because it's his property. He gave each and every race the possibility of their own survival based on the environment they find themselves. It's part of human instinct to try to survive his environment. So, if you accept inferiority mentality as an African, it's your own personal choice. But don't bring it to us because we are not the same. If you choose to accept that you are inferior and stupid, that's your own thing. It's up to you. You are free. But don't bring that. Use it. Don't use your weakness or your stupidity to judge Africans and on their history and think that everybody is like you. If you don't have a productive mind, don't think everybody is like you. If you are one of those who think that your food, your car, everything has to be done by Europeans before you can live, please, it is be in your best interest. Just pack your property and go to the Europeans. Don't stay here because it's time to work for Africa.